Hi, everybody. Wonderful to see you all. Baha'i.chat is a conversation series dedicated to our interconnectedness. It's an uplifting moment when we can turn our thoughts to spiritual ideas. Each weekly session is rooted in the Baha'i writings and led by the fundamental teachings of the oneness of God, religion, and humanity. This is led by individuals who are putting these principles into action. I'm very excited for you all to meet some of those individuals today who are doing extraordinary work with our Native and Indigenous communities in the Dakotas. Very exciting, esteemed guest of panelists to speak to this today. We're live streaming today's conversation on Facebook. You can find the link for that in the chat box, so you can also broadcast this on your own Facebook or send it to friends. So very excited to be back here on Baha'i.chat. Like I said, so excited to be speaking about the work of the amazing Patricia Locke Foundation. I want to introduce one of the founders, Kevin Locke, whose native name I'm going to butcher and mispronounce, Tļokéya Inážiŋ, meaning the first to arise. He is Lakota from the Hunkpapa Band and Anishinaabe. Kevin is a preeminent player of the Native American flute, beautiful flute player, traditional storyteller, cultural ambassador, recording artist, educator, fluent in Lakota language, sign language speaker, and he is a member of the Baha'i faith. Kevin is most known for the hoop dance, the hoop of life, a prayer for the unification of all of humankind. And here to start us off with an opening prayer for the renewal of humankind is Kevin Locke.
Oh, thank you, Rainn. Thank you very much. I'd like to dedicate this song to all of us, really, the times that we're going through. And the lyrics are very terse, very abbreviated. And it's a voice of Lakota people say Tunkashila. And Tunkashila is the one who authorized all the holy ones, the divine teachers, to come and connect heaven and earth and bring the divine message to humankind. So it's that voice calling down, saying, I am the one who is renewed, come to renew humankind. And the first part, there's no words, and the second part has those words. Thank you so much. That's a prayer for all of us for renewal and health.
Beautiful. Thank you. Very powerful, Kevin. Thank you so much. So why don't you start us off in this conversation? What is the Patricia Locke Foundation and how long has it been around?
Yes, I wanted to show this little this photograph here. I don't know if you can see that photograph. It's about that's from around 1930 or 29 or 30. And it's a picture of my mom with her grandfather. Her grandfather, he was born around 1850 or so. And I wanted to show that because it's all about continuity. It's all about this, like passing the torch, passing the baton. And my mother, throughout her life, she was raised up by her parents and community with strong values, certain values. And then as an adult, she actuated or strove to put those into action, those values. And starting back in the 1960s, she became really an activist in terms of like just elevating communities, getting arts cooperatives going, helping people find jobs, helping people with their health issues. And this began to just build momentum throughout her life. And she was really at the forefront of many movements, significantly the tribal college movement, which is now it's so commonplace in all the communities that people don't take it for granted, don't realize the amount of effort it took to get that going. And she was so foundational in helping many tribes get their colleges going, which is really challenging to effectively deliver education to very rural, isolated communities. And she was very instrumental in also creating the infrastructure, the American Indian Post-Secondary Education Act. There's many things. She was very instrumental, significantly was with the American Indian Freedom of Religion Act, which was passed in 1978. So just think about that, like almost 500 years, the indigenous people's right to their own devotional expression, their own ancestral faith was restricted. And so it wasn't until, and then of course my mom grew up when everything had to go underground. And so this was a very significant part of her life, going with her parents. They'd have to go in secret. Like here's a picture of her parents too. They'd have to go in secret to any kind of traditional devotional expression. It's her mom and dad and her baby sister there. But anyway, so this was really so close to her, and also in her life, she really wanted to do a lot to, and she really initiated this to make known the spiritual underpinnings, these holy souls that appeared on this half of the planet here. And so many of these issues, like the Indian Child Welfare Act, is called ICWA, which is to ensure that kids are protected within their families. So she really devoted her whole life to themes around education and ensuring continuity of the ancestral wisdom, and also to reach out to the greater population. And this all came to a how would you say, like culmination late in her life, which was when she became a Baha'i. She became a Baha'i. I think she was around in her 60s at that time, and within a very short time, she was elected to the national governing body of the Baha'i community in the United States, and she served as a vice chair for many years up until her passing in 2001. So the Patricia Locke Foundation is simply, we're endeavoring to provide continuity to many of these initiatives that she was so instrumental in founding and initiating and getting going.
Wonderful. Thank you for that background. Do you want to introduce some of the other folks that are here from the Patricia Locke Foundation?
We have, of course, my wife. She's going to be speaking in just a minute, Ceylan, and she's really she really carries a lot of the load because of her capacity, to those who are gifted, with these abilities, much is put upon them, and so she really does so much. We have Nanabah is here. She'll be speaking a little bit later. Nanabah Bulman. She's from Navajo Reservation. She serves at the Native American Baha'i Institute, especially with working with the junior youth empowerment activities there, and she'll be addressing that. And then we also have other panelists here, notably from the North Dakota State University Extension Office in Sioux County, which is the Standing Rock straddles the border, so half is on North Dakota side, half is on the South Dakota side. We have Sue Isbell here, and she's really brings so much information to bear about her lifelong interest in agronomy, horticulture, and she's really so enthusiastic about relating these understandings to the young people, working with them hands-on, inspiring them. Of course, we have Amber Johnson is here. She's at the Nanabah Elementary School, and she's really works with the kids. And we'll see this too, and she'll explain it about the enthusiasm of the kids and how they're able to connect that to their STEM curriculum. And then, of course, Nathaniel Brown is here. He's from Wakapala, South Dakota, but he works at the office there in Fort Yates, North Dakota. And he's especially a liaison with the Language Nest at Standing Rock, the language Lakota language immersion activities there. Yes.
Well, why don't we hear from Ceylan? She is originally from Turkey, holds a PhD in neurosciences from Indiana University in Bloomington. I'm giving you your introduction here, Ceylan. She's an avid supporter of women as leaders in science. And as Kevin said, she commits her efforts to the Patricia Locke Foundation to assist in the paradigm shift needed to reassign value and priorities in the field of education. Ceylan, would love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Rainn. I would like to transition into explaining, my husband Kevin very beautifully explained the lifelong legacy and work of my mother-in-law, that also the matriarchal inspiration of the nonprofit Patricia Locke Foundation that we all serve in. So Patricia, what are our core values? What's so special about us? I would say the Patricia Locke Foundation centers itself around the core of expression of spiritual and feminine qualities, using the feminine qualities of compassion, becoming a convener or a conduit or convener, that is to pull in the mainstream resources together, working with the grassroots organization and people, so creating a bridge, so to speak, between resources and the grassroots. So that's our convener role. Becoming a healer and a uniter, and appreciating the interconnectedness of every project we tackle. We look at the interconnectedness of all the aspects of it. So that is the feminine quality that we bring into it. So Patricia Locke Foundation promotes that the unity of all parts of humanity is needed to overcome social and environmental challenges facing us. So in the core of what we do, the revitalization and strengthening of traditional indigenous cultures, a native identity and creativity, we believe are necessary in the design of a global future for humanity. What does that mean? We believe that the next chapter in humanity is the progress of the civilization, the human civilization on Earth, will need to incorporate that indigenous identity, creativity, legacy, wisdom, and heritage. So we promote a just, regenerative, and unified world centered on that indigenous wisdom in the next chapter of humanity's story on this planet, so to speak, which will nurtures the full potential, dignity, and esteem of all people. We believe in inspiring a lifelong dedication to actively respect, protect, and defend the rights of the people and the planet. So our purpose in all the projects that we have embraced thus far is to empower children, youth, and young adults to take charge of their spiritual and material destiny. We provide some funding for this, but we provide most of all traditional indigenous cultural arts education and character education through some of the programs that we put together, educational enhancement programs and experiences that foster well-being and unleash potential. We try to enable our communities to create systemic change, reclaim, regenerate, and reinforce cultural identity, and also to contribute to a collective future through in-depth outreach and collaboration towards common goals. This year, in 2019-2020, we have 2 active projects. Since we work with indigenous communities Community building is something, maybe the listeners are familiar with this terminology, community building. Since we work with Indigenous communities and grassroots communities, they know how to build community. You know, if you think and reflect of Indigenous cultures and Indigenous communities, pre-reservation era in North America or all over the world, they know how to move together collectively without leaving one person behind. They know how they created systems to take care of each other, to heal, to educate, to promote their community. So community building is not our focus. Our focus is elevating that community. So that is to address the current needs of the community and become a conduit and a convener for resources to reach that community to fulfill those needs so that the whole community can be elevated, right? So in our community elevation system model, as Patricia Locke Foundation that we promote, there are 4 pillars that we actually pick projects that are at the intersectionality of 4 pillars. And those 4 pillars are 4 needs of a community. Nutrition and health and well-being is 1. Educational needs is second one. Third one is community service projects. And 4th one is cultural identity and cultural preservation. So when we approach and come up and design projects, we look at it from a community elevation system model, and we look at those intersectionality of those 4 pillars. So we have 2 current projects in this year. The first one that we will not spend much time talking today, I'm just going to briefly mention it, is our online education curriculum. Due to COVID, as you guys are all very well aware, a lot of in-person classroom education have stopped in K through 12 schools, and it's most of the places it's restricted. So this online education platform was founded, actually we put it together to fulfill the need of creating an online library for students, young people, as well as adults and teachers alike, covering subject matters like arts education. So we have a bunch of modules, full video features of arts education covering origin of North American Indigenous music, importance of music in the life and culture of people, you know, various Indigenous musical genres and strategies for, you know, arts as a catalyst of community building and elevation. So that's our arts education miniseries. We have another miniseries on North American Indigenous songs and their inner meanings. So we have 15 traditional songs that we tackle in the first rollout, where the subscribers to our online education platform can have access to each song and the traditional musical aesthetic of each song, as well as the cultural elements that are brought up by these songs, and link it to universal themes. Each song is linked to universal themes where you can find identity with that song, no matter what culture you come from. So that's our North American Indigenous Songs series. We have also reading, writing, comprehension, using Indigenous stories. So we are a promoter of using Indigenous stories in language arts. So we have come together with a bunch of teachers and used a traditional book. Wigwam Evenings is the name of the book. And we have translated 20 of those songs into in-class activities together with teaching tools available for teachers to use these. We have special days and months of the year, and also Indigenous cultural sensitivity training as part of our online library. So our second project, which we will talk about today, and I'm going to just say 1 minute on it and then pass it on to the people who are the leaders of this project in Standing Rock, is our school gardens and education curriculum pilot running from Standing Rock Sioux Tribe. Currently on the Sioux County, north side of Standing Rock, schools are enrolled in it. It's a 2-year pilot. Second year will be on the south side. This, imagine, you know, that healthy and organic food options are available for K through 12 students and their families who live in nutritional food deserts, such as, for example, some of the reservations are including Standing Rock Sioux Tribe is located in, through a school program that grows produce in a classroom without the need for weeding, landscaping, or soil. and with minimum use of water. So School Gardens project actually aims to grow fruits and vegetables in the classroom all year round. It uses an aeroponic growing technology, which is called a vertical growing tower, or they call them garden towers, that is designed to grow produce and supplement school lunches and provide healthy options. Now, that is not the only thing it does. It actually also has an educational curriculum wrapped around growing a seed. It is designed to enhance student performance in science, math, and literacy, as well as increase student retention by increasing excitement. You're going to hear from the leaders in the community about that excitement. It actually improves graduation rates in underserved schools. So the result is a school program that not only improves health and well-being of a community, starting with meeting the nutritional needs of the children and youth, but simultaneously, it also increased the quality of education with measurable impact on educational benchmarks. So that is our pilot project. And it's run at Standing Rock Sioux Tribe North and South Public Schools and is organized to phase in a time period of 2 academic years. Now, on the north side, which is this year's pilot running in, we have coordinators through the North Dakota State University Sioux County Extension Office and bunch of teachers. They're going to tell you right now, I'm going to pass the baton to them to talk about how this community elevation system project called School Gardens and Education Curriculum is running so far on the north side elementary schools. I'm going to pass it on to Sue Isbell, who is the heart of the program, the great Sue, who is running this program through the North Dakota State University Extension Office. She's the coordinator, and we also have another coordinator, Amber Johnson. I will pass it on to them, and then they'll pass it on to Nathaniel Brown, who has started the School Gardens in the Lakota language nest, and he's going to talk about and comment on that.
Thank you, Ceylan. I'm Sue, and I'm with Amber, and we're humbled and honored to be able to have this opportunity to visit with you and share this great opportunity we have to bring this education to our students on Standing Rock. I'd like to just tell you a little bit about myself. As it's been said, my name's Sue Isbell. I'm from Standing Rock. I graduated from Montana State University, and I have been currently working on the Standing Rock Reservation in my role for almost 18 years. I have grown up, I'm the 7th generation in agriculture in our family, and I have a strong connection to the horticulture and the youth development programs. Amber, do you want to tell them a little bit about yourself?
So I'm Amber Johnson. I am blessed enough to work here on Standing Rock and to work for Sue and with Sue. She's amazing. I came across this position after working with the schools for about 7 years as a school resource officer. And I left law enforcement and could not leave our kiddos behind. I love our kids. They're amazing. And so now I have also 6 kids at home. And one of the projects that we'll talk about here in a second is a homeschool project that we're working on through kids that are distance learning with COVID. And I also get the joy of including my kiddos into some of it. So I'll hand it back to Sue here for a moment.
Okay. I'd just like to say this project started with simply 1 tower, and we've now grown to 12 towers. We're in 4 schools. We're in 3 public schools, 1 private school, and we're, like Amber said, working with the kiddos that are in virtual education and homeschool. We reach 177 students a week across our projects. And we'd just like to share a little bit about what we have done. We had the teachers and the students set up our towers, right, Amber?
Yep.
And we provide extra education for our teachers so they can continue the projects during the week when we are not there.
Like this journal that you guys can see up here. This is one of the things that the kids have done.
Right, and they do an awesome job, don't they?
That's cute.
We have the educational sessions, like I said, in every site once a week. We have studied such things as the plant structures, the plant life cycle. We've worked on pollination because some of the plants our kiddos have chosen are watermelons, tomatoes, peppers. So we're going to get to work with them on hand pollination, which is really exciting for me with my passion in horticulture, and Amber loves science. So some of the other things we did is the kids started all the seeds. We talked about germination and the science behind that, and about seed selection, because not every seed is a wise choice for the garden towers. And we discussed why we're not going to grow a carrot in the garden tower. And we let them do the seed selections based on the germination time and what they want from it. Peppers are a large deal with our kids. It's huge. They want to try all of the varieties. So
we all ghost peppers.
Yeah. So we're working on that, but it all ties back to the nutrition. Amber, could you share with them a little bit about how we had the kids eat the rainbow?
So one of my favorite things I get to do with our students is find ways to make this relatable to them. And all of these things by being able to tie it into their life in some way or another. So we went in the classrooms with a wide variety of vegetables, and we had the kids eat the rainbow. And so they got to taste a bunch of things: tomatoes, bell peppers, carrots, hummus was one that a lot of kids had tried for the first time and liked. Avocados were a big hit. Some students that didn't think that they would like them were pretty excited that they liked them, or didn't realize that guacamole was something that they had eaten a bunch of times and that it was an avocado. Also, each week through doing things like this, we get to leave them with a thought or
A question.
or a question or something to study. Just for an example, a couple days ago, we were in a classroom and Sue had this amazing lesson to talk about how much of our planet we can actually grow on. And she'll get into that some more in a minute. But one of the kids said, well, let's just burn all the trash. We'll just get rid of all of it. And then we have like tons more room. And I said, oh yeah. So what's going to happen then? If we burn all the trash, what's going to happen? And so we get to tie in their stuff and their ideas. And he goes, well, I don't know. I said, well, that's what we're going to find out. So by next week, I want you guys to tell me what's going to happen if we, burn all the trash. And is that going to be helpful or harmful? And so they get these ideas on their own and they get to dive into it and go through this incredible self-discovery journey. And I think that they gain so much from it.
And we have great support from our classroom teachers.
Oh, yeah.
They are amazing. Like I said, we come in once a week, and then the teachers carry on the conversations through their science, their math, and their literacy programs. We've seen a large improvement in our students in their ability, particularly to communicate. They're getting excellent. They're doing an excellent job doing videos, which is something they're not extremely comfortable with, right, Amber? I've not seen our kids communicate before like that. So it's really exciting to see them grow. They're sharing with the knowledge that they learn, they're taking it home to their siblings and to their families and their communities. When Amber talked about the project we did, we had an apple that represented Earth. We cut it into different portions. And then we showed them that actually very, very small part of our Earth is viable for food production. And we were able to bring in, like Kevin has said, and we'll be sharing more about, is how the land on Standing Rock was destroyed when the dams were built.
A lot of viewers might be wondering, well, can't they go outside and have gardens outside the school or in nearby fields or something like that? Why do you need to have tower gardens inside the classroom to teach them about growing? And I think that's where you're headed with this
Right.
question.
I am. The fertile soil is under the water, unfortunately. The communities live where the soil is poor, the soil depth is poor, and they live in communities that are surrounded by production agriculture. They don't have the opportunities to produce their own food. Within the extension program, we have several community gardens that we've grown, but we use raised beds and bring in fertile soil because of the poor soil conditions. So this is a lifesaver. And also, you don't grow in the winter in North Dakota, where our growing season is 4 to 5 months at the max. So this is going to allow our kids to have access to fresh vegetables and fruits year round.
And also, I think it's nice too for them to get to see some fresh life and some green plants and hear running water in the wintertime. That's something, our river freezes, all of our green leaves fall off of our trees. And there's a thing that I've learned about since I've been in North Dakota, which has been about 10 years now, called the winter blues. And we don't get to see those green plants, and we don't get to feel the sunshine, and we don't get to see that new life and that new growth and hear the rivers run. And they're learning about becoming nurturers and being responsible. We partner with the students. This is very much their projects.
We simply guide them.
Yeah. And they take such pride in it. You can see in some of these photos, the ownership is there. They're like, this is my tower. Like, I did this. Like,
one of the classrooms, they've actually numbered the plants, and they have their own plant. And when we walk into the classroom, they can definitely tell you what their plant has done over the last 7 days. It's really exciting to see them do that. Also, one of the things we work with the students with is career opportunities. We had, with Eating the Rainbow, we talked about being a chef. They could be a food scientist. We've talked about being a horticulturist. They can be food engineers. It's just the world is wide open to them, but sometimes they need to even know be offered what they don't know, because they don't know those careers are out there. So we're encouraging that. And with this project, we've seen an increase in classroom attendance, and the teachers have told us that the grades are going up in the areas we're touching on. And it's because they can get their hands on it. One of our classes last week did their own salad party. They harvested from their tower and they had a salad party, and they took a lot of pride in it. It was amazing to hear about. All right, we are going to continue the education as we are. We're going to be able to provide fresh fruits and vegetables to the hot lunch programs, hopefully send some home and provide some for our elders in the community. And we are going to have mentorships in the future. The kids that are in the program right now will next year mentor the younger students that come in the program.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That's so exciting. I want to bring Nanabah Bulman on. I know you do a lot of work with the Junior Youth Service Program and Junior Youth Spiritual Empowerment Programs. So how do you see that intersecting with what Patricia Locke Foundation is doing? What is the future of this program, and how does it, tie into a junior youth or preteen program that's community-based?
One of the training materials of the Junior Youth Spiritual Empowerment Program has one of my all-time favorite quotations that touches the hearts of every Indigenous person that I share this with, and its deep connection to the spiritual and social dimensions of giving back to our communities. This is a quotation from the animator training materials. We cannot segregate the human heart from the environment outside us, and say that once one of these is reformed, everything will be improved. Man is organic with the world. His inner life molds the environment and is itself also deeply affected by it. The one acts upon the other, and every abiding change in the life of man is the result of these mutual reactions. So this program, this pilot program, is really helping these youngsters, their inner being, connect to growing and hands-on, and connecting their human heart, our human hearts, to our environment. And I know there's questions out there about, as we just addressed previously with Sue, But the act of engaging in nurturing and fostering and creating conditions for a tender plant to grow is deeply spiritual. And what we're seeing, all the indicators in this pilot program so far, these young children are engaging in discovery of their talents. I imagine if my children were in these classrooms, what they would be preparing for like a junior youth program, which the aims are to help develop the powers of observation through spiritual literacy, investigate in the constructive and destructive forces of society, making their own empirical evidence. One of the program's spiritual principles is helping to guide middle school students in a mentorship program. So we see kind of these essential elements in this pilot program through the garden towers, kind of leading to a somewhat of a junior youth program through mentoring young children to give back to their communities. And you're discovering their talents, their abilities, their faculties through investigation of reality and making statements about the spiritual dimensions and social dimensions of their communities by themselves acquiring actual experience in these garden projects. And once we begin to understand the conditions of nurturing tender plants in the physical reality, we can see that the spiritual conditions need very similar conditions for nurturing a human heart, a human soul, in a collective environment to investigate truth. And so I'm excited for this program because I work with the Navajo Nation's junior youth here in Burnt Water, Houck Sanders area for the last decade. And we've started similar micro garden projects, not with the tower gardens, but no matter where one investigates reality and getting hands-on with the plants and animals and our 4 pillars at Patricia Locke, weave very closely with the junior youth program in creating young people to be morally and spiritually empowered to give back to their communities, and especially in places where we're tackling the challenges of food deserts, and supplementing their school cafeteria with healthy food is a great way to start. And then I just love that the mentorship element of this pilot program, which mirrors closely the junior youth program, you're creating a cadre of individuals, a pool of human resources that are acquiring skills and capabilities so that their hope is to turn around once they become middle school students, to turn around and mentor those younger children in the same qualities of life, the investigation of truth, thirst for knowledge, and acquiring experience and refining their actions.
Thank you so much. And I love the way you brought it back to that seed metaphor that Ceylan had brought up, like the seed, and then you have the plant and the physical reality of the nurturing the plant to life, and the spiritual reality of nurturing the children to a spiritual, a deeper spiritual life. Thank you so much, Nanabah. I want to bring Nate on. Nate, tell us what you're doing with the Lakota Language School. It's such a great aspect of the Patricia Locke Foundation.
The immersion nest at the Cinnamon College here in Standing Rock. They teach, speak, practice Lakota language, teaching lessons in Lakota, speaking it every day, and they have a range of kids from toddlers up to 9-year-olds in their classes. In partnering with the immersion nest, we kind of fold in hydroponics into Lakota, Dakota language and tradition, and being able to teach that. So we have that cultural component with folding in this the immersion nest as a partner. And just to echo a lot of what Sue, Amber were saying with hydroponics, I think with growing indoor, outdoors, growing year round, the climate and the soil that here is on Standing Rock, the poor soil conditions, the year-round weather that North Dakota deals with, high feasibility to practice hydroponics on Standing Rock. So and that kind of folds into food sovereignty, especially Standing Rock. I know sovereignty has been a big buzzword throughout Indigenous country. how does one govern oneself, how does one provide for oneself, and building up a food system to provide for one's tribe is imperative, especially increasing access to healthier foods for your people. I think Ceylan had mentioned before the word food desert, the term food desert being thrown around, where, people have to travel 60 miles north of here to border town, Bismarck, Mandan, to buy produce and whatnot. So that's kind of how hydroponics came about too, was giving people more tools in their toolkit to grow food, not just for, for their families, of course, but for their communities as well. So that's the premise of like the hydroponics idea too, was just to give people that toolkit so then they'd be able to grow food of themselves, and then just kind of keep broadening your reach with this project, with this idea. So as we kind of keep working with folding in more schools into the project, as well as reaching community partners, it is this project will continue to grow. Circling back to the immersion nest and folding them into the project, and building hydroponics at that school, I think it adds that cultural piece to the project. It makes it more personal, you as a member of Standing Rock. So I'll stop there for now.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Nate. Kevin, can I bring you back? We were talking with Nanabah about this connection between the child and the plant. And this kind of spiritual metaphor is a lot at the center of the Baha'i teachings, and also many indigenous writings and teachings as well. I know that you had a song around this sacred relationship, and maybe you could speak a little bit more about it and let us hear some of your music.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. I'd like to thank all the panelists for sharing so much information, bringing so much to light. And this whole analogy of the child as a plant, as a seed, is such a powerful metaphor. And I know that we use that quite a bit in speaking with the kids, and singing songs with the kids, and just the whole the establishing a relationship. And I wanted to cite a quotation from the Baha'i writings. It's actually Rizwan 2000. It says, "Children are the most precious treasure a community can possess, for in them are the promise and guarantee of the future. They bear the seeds of the character of future society, which is largely shaped by what the adults constituting the community do or fail to do with respect to children." So we're really trying to fulfill or step up to the plate with this mandate. And this is such a great quote. And I wanted to make another quotation here. This was a woman who was born in 1839, right along the Missouri River. And I wanted to just kind of piggyback also, before I read this quote, off of what Sue was saying about the effect of the dams on the Missouri River, because for thousands of years the Missouri River is such a beautiful oasis, such a complete ecosystem, which was completely disrupted. And so I remember Nate's grandfather's name was Oliver Eagleman, spoke about growing up during the Dust Bowl era. There was no precipitation for 3 years. He said 3 years. All the tributaries of the Missouri, where there was no water, just cracks, and no grass, leaves didn't come out of the trees. It was so devastating. But the Missouri River flowed continuously. Why? Because it's all comes from the glaciers in Montana, Rocky Mountains. But he was saying that they survived this Dust Bowl, the drought, no rain, no precipitation. And he was quite young at the time, he was saying. And the parents and his aunts and uncles, they'd all put in big gardens right along the river. That's before the dams went in. Big gardens all along the river. And the kids like himself and all the cousins and siblings, they'd carry that water up and hand water the gardens all throughout the summer, the growing season. But anyway, here's that quote from this woman from 1809. She says, "We cared for our corn in those days as you would care for a child. For we, Indian people, loved our fields as mothers loved their children. We thought that the corn plants had souls as children have souls, and that the growing corn liked to hear us sing as children like to hear their mothers sing to them." And I wanted to just add one more. This is for Baha'is, this is kind of a well-known prayer, and it likens the children as plants. It says, "Oh God, educate these children. These children are the plants of thine orchard, the flowers of thy meadow, the roses of thy garden. Let thy rain fall upon them. Let the sun of reality shine upon them with thy love. Let thy breeze refresh them in order that they may be trained, grow, and develop and appear in the utmost beauty. Thou art the giver, thou art the compassionate." So these children are likened to plants. Of course, plants in an orchard, it says whose orchard? It's God's orchard. And what's a plant in an orchard going to do? It's going to bear fruit. So these little kids, that's their destiny, is to put forth beautiful fruit, just like that corn that yields such a rich harvest, sustains and nurtures the people. So that's what these kids will do in the future. They'll bring forth all this sweetness, all this divine sweetness, and their intellectual gifts, their spiritual gifts will be released into the world. The children are flowers in a meadow. Whose meadow is it? And just think of a meadow, with all the diverse colors, so beautiful. It's not just one color, but it's all the colors of the spectrum are included in that beautiful meadow. That they're so these beautiful plants are like roses in a garden. Whose garden is it? We know that. And so, but the key is that rain has to fall upon them. The sun of reality has to shine upon them, and that breeze refresh them. And it's not like a babysitting service that God's providing. It's really you and I. We have to be the instrumentality or the agency through which these kids receive these bestowals, this encouragement. Because after all, we are living in a very materialistic society. And if we're not careful, it's like abandoning our kids, these beautiful plants, into a big vat of herbicide. But no, we have to put that infrastructure in place for them. So I just wanted to say this quote here, and we do have these other quotes. Maybe they can flash that on the screen there from Luther Standing Bear about the love of nature, and he talks about how the older people would just love to sit on the ground, recline upon the ground, be close to our mother, be close to our grandmother, and to walk upon the earth and to draw deeply from that power. Just like the roots, we want to have our kids receive that rootedness, the rootedness. And I'd like to offer a song here. And this is going to be a song that's about the way we treat our grandmother. They call the earth a grandmother. You can say Mother Earth too, but I think Lakota people prefer to say grandmother because it's a higher level of honor, higher level of respect that we can show her. In the song, the part of it's got just vocables, no words, and part of it has the lyrics that says, "Grandfather, behold me." Same grandfather we mentioned before. "Grandfather, behold me. You see that I have taken this difficult stance in life. I've made this vow or commitment in life. And the vow is, it says, I pledge to defend and protect our grandmother, the earth, and to treat her with the utmost respect and kindness." So this is the relationship, that we have with our grandmother, really all of creation. So here's a song to celebrate that. So this is a song affirming our relationship with our grandmother, the earth. And this is what the kids are really learning firsthand by, by having that opportunity to raise food and to create that enrichment for themselves, their families, and the community. And so there's no recourse or alternative for that movement to spread out and bless all the people everywhere.
That's beautiful. Wow. Thank you so much, Kevin. Folks, one of the main questions people are asking is how can they support the Patricia Locke Foundation? So many ways to support this organization, wonderful organization, and all this incredible stuff that they've been doing. I mean, the arts, the culture, the education, the tower gardens, the language immersion, the empowerment of children and youth, Native studies, Indigenous studies. It's so inspiring. Please connect with them on social media. Please consider donation. You can give, there's a GoFundMe page where it has specific donations for the Standing Rock Tower Gardens. There's ways to give here on PayPal, and Patreon is coming soon. What's a way that for kind of regular old American or white Americans in their home that we can support the work, certainly financially, but are there other ways we can be in unity with what you're doing and support what you're doing?
Well, actually, we have needs for volunteers. The most valuable asset that you have if you want to lock arms with us and collaborate with us on this pioneer work we're doing as the only Indigenous Baha'i nonprofit is really to give us your time. And we have volunteer needs from teachers. We love to work with our teachers because we're developing all these teaching tools, meeting the standards, educational standards of public schools. We are creating a lot of educational content in our online education library. We need people converting material into educational tools and help us with their teaching base know-how. That's one way you can help. Another way is we have a huge need for multimedia technological competency, people who can help us with post-production of videos that we generate, educational videos again. We have huge need for it. This can be done by young people too. It doesn't have to be a professional videographer or anybody like that. We are happy to work with young people. Time and your time is the most valuable way in which you can contribute to this mission. We have a lot of needs for that. We also have a Facebook page that the school gardeners, the students are developing a Facebook page, a social media page to document their journey. And we need someone to help us with that also. Those of you who are into social media and who has some social media skills, you're welcome to work with us, and we would be so happy to have you on board.
You can write contact at patricialockfoundation.org to reach them. I I know there were some requests about how can we have Kevin speak or perform. Please write him at care of contact@patricialockefoundation.org. I know he usually charges for that stuff, so please don't ask him to do it for free. He's a busy guy in high demand. I also included this link right here that takes you right to the donate page. Let me do it one more time here, folks. Thank you all, the speakers, for all the wonderful work you do. And any last words, Ceylan and Kevin? I want to leave the last words to you.
Very excited to be a part of collaborations with like-minded individuals and organizations. We are excited to reach out and make those connections. As I mentioned, one of our core values is networking. So please feel free to talk to us.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rainn. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks everyone for coming. Thanks for your time.